Peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome back to the Humble Servants Homestead. Guys, today we are taking you guys on our peach adventure of this season. Now, with Georgia being known as the peach state and me being a Georgia native born and raised here, it's only right that I look forward to those peaches every season. I'm sad to say that this year's peach season is coming to a close. However, we did have our bellies full, and I did preserve them in 7 different ways, which I'm going to share with you right now. With 1.5 bushels coming from Lane's Southern Orchards in South Georgia, we had 1 bushel coming from CJ's Orchards over in Rutledge, Georgia, and we even crossed state lines to go to Sarah's, one of my favorites, over in Trenton, South Carolina, for another 1/2 bushel. First up, with 2 cases, we made wine. Of course, wine is a staple for us. And so we do use fresh fruits. That is one of the key ingredients in our wines. This is just us taking the peaches out. We call that the mash. So we're straining the mash out, and now the wine is still sitting. This is me over at Sarah's, one of my favorite places to go over in South Carolina. And this is me now taking some peaches out that are going to be freeze dried. These peaches are from CJ's right here. I found that the peaches at CJ's this year offered the best flavor for peaches, and so I was eager to get those into our freeze dryer to see how they came out. And when I tell you that these peaches were bursting with flavor, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I chose to freeze dry them. Aren't they beautiful? And I think at this point I'm like a freeze dryer expert when it comes to fruit, because this was actually our 4th cycle in our new Blue Alpine freeze dryer. Next up is sea moss, and for those of you that do not know, sea moss contains 92 of the 102 minerals that your body needs. And so I blended some really ripe peaches with some sea moss that I soaked overnight, some full spectrum sea moss, and here it is. We blend that with different beverages and lemonades throughout the season to just help us to get our minerals in. I blanched these peaches right here to make them easy to peel, and these peaches were going to be canned. Keep in mind, I'm keeping all of my peach bits, and you'll see why towards the end. Now, I peeled all of these peaches and sliced them into quarters, and I actually put them into these nice, lovely square jars that I repurposed from some pineapple spears that I bought from Sam's Club. And here is me just filling up those beautiful jars with those lovely peaches, and oh, the smell was so awesome. After I filled up those jars, I just topped off each jar with a light, simple syrup because I really wanted the flavor of those peaches to shine through. And when I tell you, this had my house smelling amazing, and I hadn't even boiled or canned up these peaches yet. But just a light, simple syrup. I think I did like 6 cups of water to 1 cup of sugar. Something very light and simple. It was very hot in the house, so I used my steam canner instead of having to pull out my large canner. And these are the jars. They are finished canning and set to the side to cool. I wanted to try this for quite some time, actually since last year. This is just peaches canned in sweet tea. Now, if you're a Southern person and you love sweet tea like I do, then you definitely have to give this a try. This was definitely something that I think that I'm going to try every year now moving forward, because these 2 flavors are amazing together. And so I'm kind of kicking myself that I only made 4 jars. But that's those going in the canner and coming out of the canner. Aren't they pretty? And for those really ripe peaches, I hand peeled those because they were very delicate and soft at this point. And so I just took my time and hand peeled all of those and then cut them into chunks so that they could easily fit into my food processor to make them into a chunky mesh. From there, I used those to make my preserves. And so I just processed in batches. I ended up with about 14 cups. So I processed 7 cups for preserves, and the other 7, this bag here, is what I put into the freezer for a later date. I made jam, preserve like I typically do. I'm skimming off the top. I do not discard that. That goes great with some biscuits on Saturday morning. So put that to the side, and then I just jarred up this amazing preserves. And when I tell you, it captured the essence of peach throughout the house like you wouldn't believe. And as you can see, our jam is still on the chunky side, which is what we love. I love those pieces being able to spread on a piece of biscuit or toast. Jarring it up. Wiping my rims. Adding my lids. And into the steam canner they went. And now they're all done. And now that we have our canned peaches, our canned sweet tea peaches, and our preserves out of the way, as well as sea moss, which isn't pictured here, those scraps, something has to be done with those. And so I just simply boiled these peach skins and peach scraps down to make a peach syrup. And here that is right there. I'm adding equal amounts of sugar to the syrup that I made, and then I canned that as well. While that's in the steam canner, these peach slices are now ready. Aren't they gorgeous? And when I tell you they snapped with a crisp crunch, they snapped with a crisp crunch. You hear me? Now to get those bags all dated and labeled so that I could get those freeze-dried peaches packed up and sealed. Now when slicing those peaches, I did layer them on the freeze dryer trays, 2, some 3 high, and they freeze dried just fine. I thought they probably would have stuck together more than they did, but they did not. All I had to do was give them a little bit of a shuffle on the tray and they knocked loose just fine. I was pleasantly surprised to see that they maintained that beautiful peach color like they were freshly picked. Isn't that gorgeous? And we definitely cannot forget those oxygen absorbers because we do want these peaches to last for a long time. Now after I backed up those slices, I did take some and powder them as well to make a peach powder. And that was just taking those freeze-dried slices, putting them into my little Ninja, and then just giving them a quick pulse. Of course, I had to do that with several different rounds, but they were quick and easy, couple seconds each. And then as I powdered them, I just poured them into a Mylar bag. And I'm quite sure I could have done this in my larger blender and it would have took less time, but hey, this is what I had on handy, quick work, and there it is, nice fine powder. And this peach powder will be used to flavor different smoothies and kefir blends throughout the year. So now let's recap, shall we? First and foremost, we had peach freeze-dried style. And some of those freeze-dried peaches I did make into a peach powder. Now I will be removing it from this pouch because I see this pouch is letting air in. So I'm going to pour that into this mason jar. So, peach powder. Also, we have canned peaches in these lovely repurposed jars. All of them did seal. I made peach scrap syrup with all of the skins and pieces that I used that weren't good enough to be canned up into the peaches. We also made preserves and sweet tea peaches, canned peaches and sweet tea, which I heard was so delicious. So I'm anxious to try this right here, but peaches, canned, and sweet tea. And I also saved all of the pits from all of the peaches that I did use, and so I will be cracking all of these to remove the almond type nut that's inside of those. And if you know, you know. If you don't, do a little research on those. But that's it, 7 items and 7 ways that I utilized every piece of the peach that I had. So no scraps here. Everything was used. Peace and blessings.